A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session. At the outset, am I audible? I want one of you to respond. Am I audible? Thank you very much. Sorry for the delay. And before I go to the session, I've got something important to say. It gives me immense pleasure to talk about the results we have got recently. Have a look at this. This is about IBPS RRB PO mains, officer scale 1, 2 and 3. Exam held on 29 September 2024. Our selections 3,608. That is outstanding number. It is 3,608. So many candidates have got the selections, and we have just started the interview sessions also. From today, we have the interview classes, and you have the list over here. But there's something important again. Aspirants whose names are not included in the list are requested to send their details through our website feedback by providing IBPS RRB PO mains registered number and a DOB. Please do that. Then you can attend. Those who have cleared, they can attend the interview sessions. And this number, if you most authentic information, accurate information, it is something like outstanding. No one can reach something like this. Now let us go to today's the Hindu front page and see what is there to learn. India bloc an alliance of infiltrators. There is one word here, infiltrators. What does it mean? Someone enters, usually it goes with cross-border between the countries, between the states, and here organization. Infiltrator entering without legal permission. We use the word infiltrator. Alliance, we have got many a time. Two or three parties join hands, we use the word. Thank you very much. Who is this? Chandu's music. And we use the word alliance, we also use the word coalition. But these parties, when they join hands together, if they form the government, then we say coalition government. This is about final campaign blitz for Harris and Trump. Like a show, final show, because it is on today, the US elections, presidential elections, November 5th. Today is the day, the D-Day. IAF MiG-29 fighter crashes near Agra. Crashes near Agra. Simple word, but when you think in a smart way, aeroplane crash, you see the remains of the plane. For those we use the word wreckage. And very small particles we use the word debris. The last letter is silent. Debris. All those you have to recollect. Workplace culture in India, some regulation is needed to address the worst excesses. Some regulation is needed to address, to deal with, to tackle the worst excesses, something beyond. Excess not advisable. There is a saying in English, what is it? Too good is too bad. Anything in excess not advisable. So we need some sort of regulation to address or control the worst excesses. Here the worst, we have the definite article the, and the word is bad, positive form, worse, comparative form, worst, superlative form. Charges framed trial to start from November 11. One word is here, trial. You have to have given many a time. When it comes to trial, you have to think of all the related words like file a case, plaintiff and defendant, then the trial, witness, eyewitness, alibi, innocent, acquit, guilty, convict, verdict, judgment, all these you have to. And also you have to recollect the other word, trail. Trial is a legal term. Trail goes more with a path, losing the way, all that. What is the main headline if you take the front page of the Hindu paper? Temple riot. Riot goes with clashes in this context. Some untoward incident, clashes, we use the word riot. Temple riot, PM urges Canada to upload law. Uphold law. Uphold means what? It means to support. To support a particular law, we say uphold. What is the past form? Upheld. Maintain a law. Exactly. Support, maintain. PM urges Canada to uphold the law. SC to examine Jharkhand's plea on infiltration. Again, we have the word infiltration. And plea means a request, an appeal. Legal term, a plea, appeal. Everyday English, we say a request. You can also think of the word urge. Kerala to probe creation of social media group. We have got the word probe many a time. One thing, the word probe goes with police investigation, probing. But some people, they try to get involved in other people's lives, then we say probing nature, which is not a good thing, obviously. Supreme Court to consider firecracker ban in national capital. To what extent it is going to be feasible? I've just used the word feasible. What does it mean? To consider ban, firecrackers ban, where? In national capital. Certain things may take a lot of time. Feasible, not feasible. Feasible means what? Possible. Very good. Little stars. Fatal plunge. Plunge means to go down, and fatal, involving death. Usually we say fatal accident means causing death. Plunge, in this context, the bus going down into the valley, and unfortunately, how many people got killed? 30 plus, I suppose. People rescuing survivors after a private bus fell into a gorge in Almora of Uttarakhand on Monday. At least 36 people were killed. 30 plus, as I said, 36. Plausible also, you can say. Very good. Geeta Shri. What do we have the other side? Indian Army resumes patrolling in Depsang. There are two words we have got many a time. One is resume. You all know the word resume, one meaning your biodata, the other meaning to restart. I start the session, I take a break, after the break I start again, then I resume the session. And actual pronunciation of that particular word, resume. It's a French word, resume, but now people say resume. Patrolling, we have got many a time. Petrol. Here the second syllable has to be stressed, but usually people say patrolling. Means what? Going around to check everything is in place. By-elections to 14 assembly seats postponed by Election Commission. Please respond, what is the opposite of postpone? What is the opposite of postpone? Postpone, opposite. I will wait for a few seconds for your response. Opposite of postpone. Prepone, exactly. Lokesh, very good. Lokesh Pupala, prepone. Out, if you go out, ask 10 people, not youngsters, but say about 50, 60, 50 plus people. Many of them will say it is a wrong word because they haven't updated their knowledge. Indians have created the word prepone. Based on the word postpone, Indians logically thinking, they thought the right word would be, opposite word would be prepone. Till 1972, it was not part of standard British English. But in 1972, it became part of standard British English, and today it is part of English language. If someone says it is a wrong word, tell them all this. It is part of standard British English. Nothing wrong with the word. Restore statehood to Jammu and Kashmir, says Lieutenant Governor at Assembly's first session. That's all for today because I've started a little late. I would like to go to the editorial. Let us go to the editorial. What is today's editorial about? It is the tone of the editorial. It is related to climate crisis. Based on that, whenever the editorial talks about a particular problem, the tone has to be critical, one thing, and urgency. It has to highlight the urgency of that particular problem. Based on that, today, if you take the tone of the editorial is urgent and critical. And so many words are there, about 10 plus words, important words are there. We have got these words many a time. First, let us start with the vocabulary part, then we'll go to the what is the first word over here? The very first word, huddle. Huddle, part of speech, noun, it can also be a verb, meaning a close gathering or conference, typically to discuss or solve an issue. Imagine there is a problem, there is an issue. To discuss, to solve that particular issue, that particular problem, people gather, very close gathering, a specific number of people representing specific groups. Then we use the word huddle. Look at the example sentence. The leaders went into a huddle to strategize their next moves for the summit. Went into a huddle means what? They wanted to. They gathered to find out the solution for something. Synonyms, meeting, gathering, assembly, conference, all simple words. Antonyms, disperse, spread out, disband. All of you should remember these are like huddle in sports, okay? Team huddle in sports, very good, before match. These are synonyms, antonyms, but word usage, very important. Word combinations, very important. Though they come under synonyms, you cannot use the way you like. You have to decide the context and decide the word combination. Only then you can use. And if you ask me, sir, how do we know all that? Extensive reading, exposure to the language, you will understand all these subtle or the nuances of the language, how to use words and all. Otherwise, I'll give an example. One meaning of the word alien. Alien means, it has two meanings. One meaning foreigner, another meaning a particular life form from outside the planet Earth, from space. Aliens, we use the word aliens, means things, animals or life forms from space. That is a usage point of view, we mean that. Now imagine synonyms, we say foreigner and a life from extraterrestrial life. Tomorrow you see a foreigner, you say he is an alien. That will be the joke of the day. Because we don't use, though it is a synonym, when we see a foreigner, we don't say he is an alien. That sounds ridiculous. So this awareness is very important, not only when it comes to conversation English, but also when it comes to the exam, any exam for that matter. Let us go to the second word, eschew, part of speech verb. What is the word here? Eschew, part of speech verb. To deliberately avoid or abstain from something. Whenever you see the word abstain, refrain, do remember we have to use a preposition from, abstain from, keep away from. Deliberately avoid or abstain from something. Example sentence, developing countries are encouraged to eschew fossil fuels in favor of renewable energy sources, obviously. Today, you may get a passage, they have given so many times. When we talk about energy sources, there are certain terms you have to know. I am sure many of you know. One is fossil fuels. For them, we say conventional sources of energy or non-renewable sources of energy. On the other hand, we have non-conventional sources of energy or renewable sources of energy. Here it is about conventional. We have to avoid conventional sources of energy or non-renewable sources of energy, and we have to go in for non-conventional or renewable. What do you have under renewable sources of energy? Solar, wind, all these come under renewable sources of energy. Synonyms, avoid, shun. Shun, an important word. One more tip I would like to give. When you see the synonyms and antonyms, some words may be familiar. One or two words could be new and strange they may look. You have to focus on those words. Everyone knows avoid, reject, and two words you have to focus on. One is shun. Shun something means what? Avoid something. And what is the other word here? Renounce. That is also an important. And a noun form is what? Renunciation. Antonyms: embrace, an important word; accept, simple; indulge, an important word; welcome, simple word. Embrace, welcome, familiar words. On the other hand, you have to remember indulge, and also embrace, of course, you have to remember. Indulge is an important word, exam point of view. Why is it important? Indulge means you want pleasures, to gratify your pleasures or desires, indulge in certain activities. And some people think life is just to enjoy. What are the words for those people or persons? We use the term hedonist. We also use the term, if you take hedonist is one, the other one is Epicurean. These words you have to recollect. The next one, angst, part of speech noun, a feeling of deep anxiety or dread. Dread means a fear. Usually for many candidates, Epicurean, very good Usha, I appreciate that. Hedonist, Epicurean, exactly. For many candidates to use a typical politician's expression, from Delhi to gully, what is the problem while preparing for competitive exams? It is English. So for many candidates, English is the most dreaded language, means the most feared, often about personal or societal issues. Angst means a feeling of deep anxiety. Example, the lack of clarity on climate finance has led to angst among developing countries. Developing countries feel anxious when there is no clarity regarding finances related to climate related projects. Synonyms: anxiety, worry, apprehension. This is an important word. All the other words are rather easy. Apprehension. Usually I tell students, hedonist, H-E-D-O, not D-A. Please make a note, hedonist. And when it comes to apprehensions, I usually tell students, don't entertain any apprehensions. Apprehension means a feeling that something bad is going to happen. No need to say sorry, Usha. I appreciate your response, but just a word of caution, you got to be careful with spelling. Antonyms: calm, peace, tranquility. An important word, we have got many a time. Tranquil. Good, I appreciate that. You have corrected yourself immediately. That is the spirit. And next time you won't make the same mistake. Wonderful. And tranquil, peaceful, calm, placid, serene. All these words you have to recollect. I think I have dealt with, let me go to the next one. The last one. We have got this for the first time. Have you heard of this any time? Please respond. Have you heard of this any time? Gladiatorial legalese. It's a noun phrase. It means complex legal jargon used in negotiations, often with a confrontational or competitive tone. You use legal, never. Even I myself haven't heard of that. I've come across this for the first time. It means there is one important word, jargon, means technical terms. Every subject has certain technical terms. For those technical terms, we use the word jargon. Psychology, certain terms. Botany, certain terms. Geology, certain terms. Here, complex legal jargon used in negotiations, often with a confrontational or competitive tone, a little aggressive in a way. The climate talks turned into a display of gladiatorial legalese, where every clause was debated fiercely. As I said, aggressive, a little aggressive, fierce, ferocious, fierce, aggressive. They all mean what? Ready to attack. What are the synonyms? Legal jargon, bureaucratic language. Antonyms: clear language, plain speech, simple terms. Let us go to, those are the words, but as I said, quite often what happens, As you keep reading, you come across many words become quite familiar. Here you have easy words. You have to respond. I usually tell students while teaching nouns two terms, concrete, abstract. Before I go to abstract nouns, concrete means something you can see or touch. We also use a word tangible. Abstract means something you cannot see or touch. We also use the word intangible. That is the first word. Loath means one meaning you don't feel like looking at something or don't feel like doing something, you find something disgusting. Disgusting, that is a word you have to think of. Envisage, it's a positive word, it goes with visualize something. Envisage, it goes with a project, what could be the impact of the project, we use this word. Trajectory goes with the path, the direction of something. It's a technical term, but we can use. Bone of contention, all our students know. They also know the other one. What is the other? Same meaning, the other idiom. Apple of discord. And ratify. Officially approve something, an agreement, ratify. And tout means to float, to say this is good, our product is the best, or someone is the best. Your tout means you try to project someone or something special, you make them special. And vexing problem. I got vexed with the power cuts. Means what? Frustrating. You find something frustrating, a vexing problem. And arena has, it means area or field. You have to recollect words like domain, arena, sphere, realm. All these words are very important. And the last one, hallmark, a standard of something. With all these words, let us go to the editorial and see what is there to learn. As I said, it is all about climate conference, obviously related to environment. You all know I have created an acronym, SLEEPS. The last letter S stands for socio-cultural problems. And under that we have this environment, a broad term. There we have a lot of dimensions like pollution, climate change, greenhouse gases, deforestation, extinction of species. So many are there. This deals with the climate change and the impact of that, what we have to do. How does it start? Time for action on the climate conference huddle in Baku, a particular place, and it is about the gathering regarding what? Climate conference. Time for action. Concrete action must take center stage in climate mitigation. We have got this word, I should have brought it in a different color. What is the meaning of mitigate? To reduce the intensity of a problem, to take something down, lessen, very good. We use the word mitigate. What are the synonyms? Mitigate, alleviate, assuage, all these you have to recollect. In a way, not exactly. In a way, the difference is there, the way we use different. The main idea, concrete action. Usually people make statements. They don't walk the talk. What is the meaning of the idiom walk the talk? Do what you say. And they make statements, but here based on that perhaps the editorial's opinion, it opines concrete action is required. Concrete, substantial, something tangible must take center stage. That should be the focus area when it comes to discussions in climate mitigation. Next week will be the time of the year when countries get into a huddle gathering for the annual 2-week climate conference in Azerbaijan's capital Baku to fine-tune global action. Fine-tune global action on human-caused global warming. A writer is very strong in his or her opinion. Human-caused, clearly stated global warming. For that we say anthropogenic. Have you heard of that? Human-caused, what is the word we use? Anthropogenic. To fine-tune global action on human-caused global warming, to have any chance at keeping global temperatures from exceeding 1.5 degrees Celsius of pre-industrial levels, Multiple scientific assessments have said that greenhouse gas emissions must peak before 2025 at the latest and decline 43% by 2030. Decline by 43%, that is substantial. And what is the time frame? 2030. However, summing up all the collective commitments by countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions would lead to only a 2.6% decrease in global greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. Decline, here it is 43%, but here it talks about 2.6%, no match at all, poles apart. I should have changed the color. Global greenhouse emissions by 2030 compared to 2019 levels. Save for 2020, there is an important expression. What is it? Save for 2020. Means don't consider 2020 because we had this COVID. What is the reason? Save for 2020 with the exception of 2020. The year of the COVID-19 pandemic, global emissions have only increased every year, with 53 billion metric tons emitted in 2023. It has been going up, never came down. Second part of the editorial, what does it talk about? Given that most rich countries are loath to make compromises, that means what? They hate to make compromises on their lifestyles, and poorer developing countries aspire to be rich. The only practical solution envisaged is that the developing countries grow rich while eschewing the proven fossil fuel-led trajectory. These are all aspirations. Rich countries, they don't want to change their lifestyles. They loathe to change their lifestyles. Loathe means what? They hate or they find something disgusting. And developing countries, what is their aspiration? They aspire to be rich, obviously. Developing country wants to become a developed country. A developed country, a particular lifestyle, they don't want to change that particular lifestyle. In this process, what are they supposed to do? Practical solution. The only practical solution envisaged is, visualized is, that the developing countries grow rich while avoiding the proven fossil fuel-led trajectory. Traditionally, what is a trajectory? Fossil fuel trajectory. These developing countries have to leave that trajectory in the process of becoming rich. That is a practical solution. But there are certain problems. However, the cost that these entail, a particular country cannot suddenly switch to avoid fossil fuels and switch to renewable sources of energy for two reasons. One reason, finances are required, investment is required, funds are required. Second, the technological know-how, that is also required. Based on that, however, the cost that these entail of shifting to cleaner but land-intensive and relatively expensive renewable sources remain the proverbial bone of contention. Here we have the familiar idiom, bone of contention. The scenario is the developed countries have to provide the funds. Entail means to have the right, give the right, provide the right. And the developing countries should also get the technological know-how. That is a problem, bone of contention. In 2009, at the climate summit in Copenhagen, developed countries agreed to fund developing countries 100 billion annually by 2020 as climate finance to enable this transition. Today, transition is a problem. What is the transition here? From fossil fuels to renewable sources of energy like solar energy, wind energy. And we cannot do it just like that. We need funds and also the technical know-how. Developed countries have the funds, they also have the technical know-how, and they have to transition. Though it is the United Nations that is supposed to ratify if these finance goals have been met, they have promised, but have they been met? Which tense is that? Present perfect passive voice. And who can decide whether these promises given by the developed countries have been met or not? Only the United Nations, though it is the United Nations that is supposed to ratify if these finance goals have been met. A lack of clarity on the definition of climate finance and delays in the financial crediting system have led to considerable angst, means what? Anxiety among developing countries, that these goals have been far from met, means they haven't been met. Goals have been far from being met also, you can say. Next one. The Paris Agreement of 2016 requires that countries decide on a new collective quantified goal, NCQG, before 2025, with the $100 billion US dollars as a base value for funding the developing countries. Then there is also a quibble. Quibble means a small argument. Okay, wait for 1 or 2 days. Passive voice can be in any tense, Sri Krishna. Any tense except the continuous tenses, perfect continuous tenses. 9 tenses you can use in passive voice. Quibble means a small argument over a trivial issue. We say quibble, a small issue. Then there is also a quibble from the developed world. What is that? That major emitters such as China and India, which are large economies and major polluters, must also contribute. What is the demand from the developed countries? Because China and India, they are the major emitters, they want these two countries to contribute, which are large economies and major polluters must also contribute. It is widely expected that this NCQG will be a major point of discussion at Baku. Another issue of Another issue of importance is carbon markets that have for long been touted as, floated as, projected as the solution to the problem of finance. Rich countries or companies finance counterparts in the developing world for renewable energy generation and carbon offsetting measures and gain tradable credits. It's an understanding between the developing countries and the developed countries. However, specifying the rules on how this is accounted for is a vexing problem. Account for means what? Answerable for. Give the reason for something. Accounted for is a vexing problem. There is a problem, you try to solve it, but you cannot solve that problem. It always bothers you. Then what do you say? Vexing problem. And how does it end? The hallmark of climate negotiations, the standard, a particular thing you consider the standard, and we have to follow that. Then the hallmark. The hallmark of climate negotiations is that they are areas of gladiatorial legalese. Gladiatorial legalese means a legal jargon where the stated goal of reducing emissions seems to stretch further beyond reach. That means not you don't find an immediate solution. Beyond reach means not that easy to get the solution. It is time that concrete action takes center stage. Main idea is being reiterated. But there is one important clause here. There is a word that. Imagine that is not there. Then whenever you use two clauses, it is time, it is high time, the clause should be in the past. It is time you start your preparation. Wrong. It is time you started your preparation. It is time you go there. Wrong. It is time you went there. That is very important from the exam point of view. Let us go to, based on all this, the questions to test your comprehension skill. Read the first question. Some students have given the feedback this format is good, but someone says difficult to follow. Let us see, we go with the majority all the time. What is the main objective of the climate conference in Baku as suggested by the editorial? Is it about trade partnerships to finalize agreements on climate finance and carbon markets? Answer should be the second one. Please respond. Answer is what? The second one. To finalize agreements on climate finance and carbon markets. Question number 2. Which of the following best describes the editorial's view on the current progress of global emissions reduction. 1B, okay. Go to the next one. Which of the following best describes the editorial's view on the current progress of global emissions reduction? Optimistic, apathetic, critical, supportive. The only word you can consider critical. Critical, as the editorial suggests, more needs to be done. Very good. Question number 3. According to the editorial, what is the anticipated challenge at the Baku Climate Conference? Anticipated, expected. Deciding on a venue for the next conference? No. Allocating carbon markets based on military strength? No. Reaching consensus on financial commitments for climate change? Answer should be the third option. Very good. Within no time you answered. Pravalika. Question number 4. In the editorial, why are richer nations hesitant to compromise on climate issues? In the editorial, we have come across one sentence related to developed countries. They don't want to change. What is the reason? Related to lifestyle. They believe climate change is not a pressing issue. They are concerned about the financial burden. No. They want to maintain their current lifestyles without major changes. This has been mentioned in the editorial. 4C. Very good. The last question. What is the significance of the 2009 Copenhagen Climate Summit as mentioned in the editorial? It set the first global agreement on emissions reductions? No. It introduced the goal of providing $100 billion annually in climate finance. What is the answer here? B is the answer. $100 billion towards climate finance. Very good. Let us go to exam topics. First one, we have spot the errors. Read the first sentence. Try to spot the error. Only recently did the manager realize that the information provided to him by his employees was fabricated. Fabricated information means not real, created. It has many meanings, the word fabrication. Only recently, nothing wrong with that. Only recently. Only is used for emphasis, nothing wrong. Here we have the clause in the interrogative form past tense. And interrogative and negative forms past tense, the first verb takes the past form. Second one we have to use bare infinitive. Based on that, did the manager, nothing wrong, first verb, past form. Here we cannot use the verb in the past form. We have to use it in bare infinitive form. Then what is the word? Realize. Only recently did the manager realize that the information provided to him by his employees was fabricated. Did the manager realize, not realized? That's a common error. A lot of people say, did he completed the work? Wrong. Did he complete the work? Did he saw the movie? Wrong. Did he see the movie yesterday? Go to the second one. The angry at being left out of the bonanza is palpable among employees of the organization. What is the answer here? It is related to the word form. The angry is not the correct word form. What is the correct word form? The anger. What is it? Anger. The anger at being left out. Ah, very good, Leela. That's right. Anger, not angry. Go to the next one. There are just too few trains for the ever-growing number of passengers in the city. Angry with somebody, yes. Angry at something. Here it talks about the anger someone has. Many, quite often, bank exams and SSC, they ask questions based on word forms. Nothing wrong with two. There are just too few trains, for the ever grow is not correct. Here we have to use ever growing. What is that you're supposed to say? Ever, ever grow is not correct. We have to say ever growing. The word form again, ever grow is not correct. Sure, we will do that. Ever growing. Ever growing number of passengers in the city. Go to the next one. The High Court on Friday refused to grant bail to the suspended IPS officer who has been in jail since May this year in connection of the fake encounter case. In connection of or in connection with, immediately you have to respond. Here we cannot use a preposition of. What is the right word here? It's a standard phrase, in connection with. In connection with. Good. A few students have got it right. Not about the word order. Here we have, listen very carefully. We have four words. What are the four words here? Complicity, then alleged, then probe, and we have orchestration. You have to, this is about word swap. Two words have to be changed. Which two words you have to respond? All the witnesses have strongly agreed that an independent complicity, there itself you have to stop. An independent probe must be carried out against the alleged role and complicity of Facebook in the orchestration of Delhi riots. So which two you have to change? One is 1 and 3. Which option is that? Very good, Usha, first one, and I see Pravalika also. Good, perfect. Go to the next one. First I will underline the words efforts, provisions, compensate, rehabilitation. Now read the sentence. Combining efforts of the crop insurance scheme and the revenue book of circulars, all possible provisions to compensate for the loss will be made besides the arrangements for rehabilitation. Should not be that difficult. Combining what? Not efforts, provisions of the crop insurance scheme and the revenue book of circulars, all possible efforts to compensate for the loss will be made. That means we have to swap 1, 2. Very good. The last one, deforestation and where is the second word? Regeneration, creeping population. Deforestation pressure due to which the slash and burn has reduced in forest areas from 17 to 20 years to 2 to 3 years, giving no time for forest regeneration, and creeping conversion of forest to cultivated land are both major drivers of, no, we have to change, last word cannot be population. Last word has to be deforestation. That means what? We have to change 1 and 4. Which option is that? Population first. Population pressure due to which the slash and burn and the last word are both major drivers of deforestation. Have you guys got it? Yes. That's all for today. I hope you guys have got enriched. And some important words are there. You have to spend time. After the session, we'll upload the PDF. Try to access that. To access the PDF, you have to join the Telegram group and always work on difficult words. Some words may be familiar, some words new and a bit difficult to remember. Do spend some time. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.